Hello everyone, welcome to the Lazy Kitchen, and today on the menu we have a coconut curry seafood stew, and we're going to do that in the electric multifunction cooker. And for those of you who are new to the Lazy Kitchen, welcome. We're certainly delighted that you're joining us. The Lazy Kitchen is for people like you and I that don't like to cook, don't have time to cook, don't know how to cook, don't like to clean up. But you still want to make an affordable, healthy dish for you and your family. So, three simple rules. Lazy means 10 minutes or less of total prep time. We're going to have very little to no cleanup by doing everything in one dish. Today, the electric cooker. At the affordable part of the equation is we try to find a balance between the most nutritious, high quality food that we can find and still keep it on a budget. I will tell you exactly what I sourced and for what cost as of today. And the healthy, we want to make a whole meal that has protein, that has a healthy source of carbohydrates. Incidentally, I have celiac, so all of the meals that we do here are going to be gluten-free, and a lot of them are also going to be dairy-free. And then we're going to put the vegetables, at least 2 vegetables. That's the part that people are really struggling to achieve. So hopefully we're going to make them tasty enough that you and your family wants to eat them. So I am going to make sure we see the iPad so we know that I am accountable to myself about how much time we're going to spend. Let's go through the ingredients. So the seafood part, you can find a lot of easy seafood mixes in the frozen food section of a lot of grocery stores. I think this one came from Trader Joe. It was right under $6 and it's got a mix of various seafoods. When things are cooking, I'll talk a little bit more about some of the quality sourcing issues with seafood that you may want to pay attention to. On the healthy starch, we're going to use brown rice in order to make this a lazy recipe and still a healthy recipe. There are lots of places where you can buy plain cooked rice in the frozen food section. It's relatively inexpensive, obviously not as inexpensive as if you're boiling yourself, but that takes more than 10 minutes. Those I got, it was a 3-pack for $5, so this is about $1.70 for my plain cooked brown rice, nothing added, it's a whole food. As far as the vegetables, you can, in some stores you can find these sliced fresh carrots. I just happened to have some in my freezer. I wanted to use them. These are some plain frozen sliced carrots, nothing added, just carrots. It was $1.40. A bag of chopped onions, and it's $1.50 for a bag. We're going to use about half of that, so that's going to be about 75 cents worth of onions. Some freshly sliced mushrooms, about $1.30, and some plain sugar snaps. You can also use snap peas. These are fresh. They are like $1.80, right around $2 for those, ready to go. We're all going to use coconut cream for the sauce. Probably this is a pretty dense coconut cream. I'm going to use half of the can. If you need something a little richer, you can use a whole can. A can is about $2.50, so half of that would be kind of right around $1.30. And then curry, I just happen to have bought it bulk at the Indian store not long ago, so this is my beautiful handwriting on a piece of masking tape. I don't even think I spelled it correctly. Curry is pretty inexpensive and you can find it in any grocery store, and you can be pretty generous with the curry because it's very yummy. So and just a note, we're going to saute the vegetables first and add the rice and the coconut curry, and at the very end we're going to add the seafood blend. It's overcooking is the enemy of seafood, so that only needs maybe 3-4 minutes, otherwise it gets really tough and unpleasant. One other note, I forgot to talk about the peanuts. The peanuts are the garnish. You can put them at the end on top of your dish. One of the nice, you can use also salted cashews if anyone in your family has a peanut allergy, obviously. This recipe, you can make it either a little bit lower cal for some of you who need to watch your energy intake, On the other hand, if you have people that really need to put on some calories, like, you know, young athletes that are eating around the house, or someone who's recovering from a sickness and they need to put on some weight, you can make this recipe a little more rich by adding the whole can of coconut, and then if you need to stretch out a little bit the calories, you can just add more peanuts on top. All right, I have talked too much already. I'm going to put saute, and we're gonna start. So for the oil to saute the onions and the vegetables, I'm going to use coconut oil, which then again you can find pretty readily everywhere. I happen to have transferred some of it into this container. You're going to use a good tablespoon or so. Okay, so onions. My favorite cooking utensil in the lazy kitchen is a little pair of scissors. This is a recipe that you can eat right away. It only takes about really a total of 10 minutes to cook time, full cook time. And this recipe is also pretty forgiving if you forgot to thaw some of those vegetables ahead of time, like you would do with some of the other recipes that we're cooking. You can use them frozen. You'll just cook them a little bit longer. So we're going to let our onions get a little heat, and while this is happening, I'm going to get the other things ready. Alright, salt ready. My sugar snap and snap peas are really a fun vegetable to put in some recipes, but you don't want to overcook them. There's nothing worse than a really soggy sugar snap that's spilling out the beans on you. Good. Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so I will, since I have a minute here, I want to talk to you about seafood, sourcing seafood. Seafood has a lot of good nutrients that are hard to get other places, like the essential fatty acids, things like DHA, iodine. But seafood is also overfished and sometimes fished in waters that have a lot of pollutants. So pay attention to where you purchase your seafood. Some of the grocery chains that are European in origin will often carry a certification in the back of their seafood product that says sustainably fished. And they're not much more expensive. Very often they're about the same cost, but they will give you a little bit better sourcing about fishing in better waters, and also fishing in a way that's more sustainable for the ecosystem. So that's the seafood. Since we're talking about sourcing, I also want to talk about coconut cream. Coconut, there are many different good brands that make coconut creams, but you're better off looking at the ingredients. Many of them use additional preservatives like sulfites that are not very good for you, and that some people react to, very similar to MSG. People will get headaches from them. So, you know, if you have choices in the grocery store, you know, read the ingredients to something that has very little added. You know, sometimes they'll just add a little bit of argon to mix it, but that should be about it. You really don't want sulfites. And it's very shelf stable, so you can buy and stock it in your basement at normal temperatures for a very long time. All right, so since my onions have gotten a little bit of color here, I'm going to add, actually what I'm going to add first is a little bit of salt. I could do it later. You don't want to add too much salt because the seafood is naturally a little bit salty, being it comes from the oceans. A little salt. Add this. Stir. We're going to add our mushrooms. Oh, never mind. These are already carrots. Ooh, it looks really good, actually. Nice. Carrots are good for you. So we're going to use the whole carrots. And those, I don't think they were 100% thawed, but this is not a recipe always going to matter. Alright, I'm going to add curry. I like curry, so I mean, for a recipe like this, probably 3-4 tablespoons of curry. This one's mild, so it won't scorch my mouth too much. Good. So really, this is a recipe, even if you forgot to prepare everything, you can just take out your seafood, your rice, your vegetables, and it's probably, minus the mushrooms that are fresh, you probably could have everything in the freezer, these ingredients, and never have to the grocery store if you have to cook in a pinch, come up with a healthy dinner in a pinch, which is always nice because life invariably will throw a couple of curveballs. Okay. So we have actually 4 vegetables in this recipe, not just 2. Oh my goodness. It smells so good. It's really a healthy recipe for those of you who are trying to not fall off the wagon, especially at certain times of the year. And if you look at the quantity, you probably can easily make 4 and probably up to 6 servings with this recipe, so it's pretty generous. You can make a meal and a couple people can have leftovers for the next day, which is always nice because some days we don't even have 10 minutes. All right, so we are at 7 minutes, and I would say I'm going to give this about a minute, and then we will add the seafood, probably let it sit maybe 3-4 minutes, so somewhere around between I would say around the 12-minute mark, your meal is actually ready to serve. You just have to dish it out in a nice bowl, and then you can put the peanuts on the table, and people can help themselves to sprinkle that in their food, and you should be ready to go. So let's send off the seafood. Very good. I'm going to give it probably about 4 minutes. That way nothing will be soggy, everything will still be a little bit crisp, especially the sugar snaps. Okay, so it is officially 8 minutes and 15 seconds. For the 3 minutes that I have until I'm going to eat the recipe, I'm just going to throw a few things back in the cabinets and in the garbage, and I will be ready for my meal. And I hope you've enjoyed preparing food with me. Have a great day. We look forward to seeing you soon.